Islington Radio. Moon Show. This is Chris Norman from an album we made last year. He's my next guest.
I'm a child without a home, a dog without a bone. Won't you show me which way to go? Let me go home. I'm a man who's running wild, a lost and lonesome child. Lord, save me from this trial. I wanna go home. I was sent from my country to free this land, and I've seen so much trouble. I just don't understand. No, I don't understand, 'cause I'm only a man, and I'm doing what I can. I want someone to lend me your hand, 'cause I'm just a man. Yeah, I'm just a man. I'm just a man.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, John. How are you?
Welcome to the Moon Show.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you? Is everything all right with you?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm in the Isle of Man, and yeah, I'm fine. Just, doing bits and bobs. I've been writing quite a bit recently, so I'm just in the middle of stuff like that.
Well, I guess it's been the right sort of space and time to do that.
Well, we've had plenty of time to do all kinds of stuff, haven't we?
Thank you for coming on the show and welcome. It's an honour to have you.
Thanks, John. Nice to be here.
So we've just been listening to Just a Man.
Yeah, good. Great.
I
yeah.
love
That's
it.
what we call in the album. We call it the album now, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's my favourite of all the most authentic. It's new, it feels new.
Yeah, it's great.
It's from such an incredible album, and most people will know you from Smokie, where your roots in the 70s. Did Smokie start?
Yeah, 70s. We that's when we started to break through. You know, we had hits and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I remember your voice as I was growing up, you know, just sort of awakening to the sort of pop and rock, you know, just becoming a man myself, you know, and your voice over the years has always comforted me. Whenever I hear your voice, I immediately warm to it, you know. I always remember, I think it was a few dollars more on a collection called Boogie Nights, which had a real rich mix of soul and rock.
Oh yeah, that was that movie with Joan Collins, wasn't it? And that song $2 More was in that movie. That's why it would have been on that album. The Stud. Oh,
the
that's
Stud.
right.
That was it. And of course, you know, all of that Mike Chapman produced. And what amazing man he is. He's, you know, we've both been working with him over the last few years, and me for about 5 years, but you for many more.
Well, I mean, I haven't worked with him constantly, you know, since then. I mean, I worked with him for a long time in the 70s through the 70s. And then we didn't have much contact for a bit, and then I worked with him again in the 90s with some recording with him.
Was that with Susie Quattro as well, or was that much earlier?
Well, Susie Quattro was in the 70s. That was during the 70s period. That was late 70s.
Right.
And we did that as a, you know, just as a one-off thing while I was still in Smokie. So basically, he had this song called Stumbling In, and I went in the studio with them while they were recording their album. And we just sort of took a week's break from what they were doing normally and recorded Stumbling In and another song for the B-side called Stranger With You. And then that was it. I went in, did it, forgot about it, went back to Smokie, did the rest of it. And then it came out and was a big hit, you know. So it was
such
great.
a prolific writer, isn't he? So how did it come about this time around? Certainly, it was a surprise for me, that particular session. Although Mike had talked about you, I didn't know quite what was going to happen that day.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what happened was I got a text message from Mike saying, is it all right if we come, I'll bring a few people to see you in Watford, you know, can you put my name on the door? And I said, yes, sure. So he came to Watford and came back after the show, and we sat, had a whiskey or two, and just started talking about old days and stuff. And he said, well, next time you're around, come down to the flat and we'll have a... So I think about a week or two after that, I went down to his flat, and we sat and we, stayed up through the night. I stayed the night there, and we just suddenly just came about, why don't we record something together again, because it's been a while. And then we started looking at songs, and I had some songs written, and I played him some songs, and we played this.
Because it really is a co-produced project. I mean, you obviously have a bond, and it shines through in the music. I mean, there was, some of Mike's songs there, weren't there? But you already had a good set of songs prepared.
Yeah. I think I think there's 12 songs on the album. I think.
Yes, 12 of 13.
I think it was seven of mine, 4 of Mike's, and another one we did a cover of that old Easy Beats song, Hello, How Are You? So there was 12, yeah. And we were writing together as well. I was going to his apartment sometimes if we'd write something. We started writing about 3 different things, but we never finished them in time for recording them for the album. So we were going to do a couple of songs that we'd written, co-written. But we didn't finish them in time. But nevertheless, we had and by that time we already had a good bunch of songs anyway.
Well,
so it wasn't that vital.
I think we were already in session and had that magnificent band together with Dale Davis on bass and Alex Reeves on drums and David Timms on the keys, and Jeff Carlisle also co-writes with you.
And Nick
Horn, yes. And what fantastic sessions they were.
Well, it was great because we did them like the old way of doing it. Where we all, we put tracks down all playing at the same time.
Exactly.
Which is a great way of making an album because you get a feel, and you get an input from all different people instead of just trying. Sometimes when you put tracks down yourself and you layer them yourself and put all different stuff on, but if we're doing it all together, it goes back to that original way of recording, which we always did in the old days, and you get a certain type of, a certain kind of feel and energy that you don't get. Yeah.
I mean, I endeavour to record like that whenever I can. I mean, for me, the most enjoyable way of it coming together and everybody playing together, as you say, and that element of spontaneity really has brought a really authentic, new set of recordings, a record.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
And he's such a hands-on as well, Mike, isn't he? It's not like he just sits at the back of the room and doesn't do anything.
No.
I guess.
No. I mean, he's always been like that. He's like. I always think when I was back in those days, in the early days when I first started working with him, it was like a film director almost. Mm-hmm. He doesn't. He doesn't just listen and go, okay, do something different. He's got ideas, and he says, why don't you do this? Or why don't you do this? That sounds great. Let's try this with this. And that's what's great about him as a producer, because he's very active about everything that's going on,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think everybody likes that. The whole band likes that. All the musicians like to be given a bit of direction, I think. And also the freedom.
100%,
the freedom
especially the freedom.
Yeah.
And then the grand idea of strings. And because we started this in 2019, just to explain to the listeners, we started in 2019, and then we're in the finishing stages, and the rug was pulled from under our feet in every way. And almost, God, how long was it later? Was it?
We finished basically at the end of 2019 doing pretty much all of the recording with all the tracks down and all the vocals down, and then we wanted to put strings on. We were going to come back in the new year and do it, and then we couldn't And then I think we ended up doing it in like April or May or something.
That's right. Well, I think we did it the same day Abbey Road also opened their doors for distanced string players, which is what we did in Studio 4, of course, and with really charming, magnificent results.
I mean, I got a guy called Rob Taggart who did the string arrangement. Remember Rob coming and doing the string? And he used to play keyboards in my touring band. So I've known him for years and years. And he does a lot of string arrangements now and a lot of MDing for different shows on TV and different things like that. And I knew he could do great arrangements. And I just, I said to Mike,
he knows your writing. You know, it's like having Jeff there as well. You know, they work closely with you and they understand you. And so you all work together so well.
Yeah. And he did some great arrangements for the tracks, you know. I mean, I think he put strings on about 8 or 9 tracks, and he did really great arrangements. And then the string players came in, and it was just a breeze, you know. None of this sort of going wrong, playing out of time, playing out of tune. It was just great, you know. So with that string session, we did, I think we did it in 2 days or 1 day, I can't remember now.
Yeah, I think it was like 1 day tracking, and then we plunged in and mixed it, you and I together.
Yeah, the next day we started mixing, Yeah.
And now, all these months later, a year later, finally, we're looking at a legitimate release date. Obviously.
It's coming out in October, I think. That's the latest news I've had. And it's taken a while because, you know, you just couldn't get anything happening. You know, it's like everything was on stop. Record company people weren't around, and if they were, they weren't doing it from home and stuff. So it took a while to get it together, and people weren't going out and stuff. So anyway, finally, we've got it sorted.
And do you have some dates lined up as well with that?
I do, but I mean, I can't like 100% confirm that they're going to happen, you know, because everything from last year was postponed until this year, and then some of the things this year have been postponed until next year already. So I've got some stuff starting in September. I'm going to be doing some stuff in Germany, then I'm going to Poland, I'm going to Moscow and St. Petersburg, and I've got a few dates coming up in September, and I'm hoping that they all continue to be there.
It's only a month away, really. Well, 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, and I've got to rehearse the band again because I've got to do some songs off the new album anyway, so they all need to learn the new songs. But also, even just to go over the stuff that we already do in the set, you know, because when you haven't played for a year and a half, you need to get together and say, okay, let's get it together, make sure everybody's remembering the parts correctly, and get tight, you know. So I'm going to take about 10 days.
It's like if you haven't ridden the bike for a while, it's not like you forget, you just you get out of breath.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
so do they do
footballers.
backup harmonies with you as well live, or do you have?
I've got a girl on keyboard. She sings as well, so she was back. I've got a girl on guitar and vocals, acoustic guitar, and a bass player, and they all sing. And Jeff, who's the lead guitar player, he sings a bit. So yeah, there's back vocals on there. We managed to get that sort of harmony sound. I need it, you know, because of especially for the smoky
sound. It brings a beautiful full sound that. You know, you're a true musketeer. You really are.
Well, I love it, John. You know, what the hell would I do if I stopped, you know? People sometimes say, why are you still doing it? I said, what the fuck else can I do?
Why not?
You know?
You might as well. Yeah. If you can. Why would you stop?
Yeah. I like it, you know. Why would you stop doing something you like doing, you know? I don't like the traveling. I've got to say, traveling's worse and worse, you know, the older I get. But you have to do that so that you can get to the point where you can go on stage and play. Because that's the best bit of everything, you know.
That's the reward,
there's no point in recording stuff without being able to say, here, listen to this. We just recorded this.
100%.
And then you get a response. You know, that's what you need.
During that period, you recorded acoustic version of one of these new songs, Mr. Music Man, and you got millions of views, not just hundreds of thousands. I just put a mic up and the guitar and a little video camera and just recorded me singing it with an acoustic. Long may it carry on.
No, don't be afraid, it'll turn out fine. Hey, Mr. Music Man, play the song if you can. I wanna hear
Oh yeah, yeah.
And what's it about?
The music.
Tell us the story. Is there a story
It's
with
not
it?
a story, really. No, not really. I just had this riff. It started with the music. I tell you, no, there's a story behind it, but it's nothing to do with what the song's about. I originally wrote that song because me and Bonnie Tyler were going to do some duet stuff. And I wrote about 4 songs. One of them I wrote called Battle of the Sexes, which she did actually. She recorded with Rod Stewart as a duet. And this other one, Streets of Manhattan, I was going to do with her as a duet, and she wasn't that knocked out with it, but she wasn't sure, maybe this, maybe not. Anyway, I didn't do it with her, that long and the short, but I'd written the song for her. So I wrote it as a piece where there could be a place for 2 people to sing, you know?
Duet, yeah.
Yeah. So I started off with the slightly lower register part, and then it goes into this high bit, which is supposed to be her bit. And I just had this title, Streets of Manhattan. I didn't know what the hell it was going to be about. I just had the title. So then when I started writing it, I just wrote about somebody who met somebody on the streets of Manhattan, and she was alone and so was he, and they ended up hooking up. And now they're always going to be friends and all that all together. That's what the song was about.
It sounds like it could be from a movie already that's been made.
It does, yeah.
Well, it's a very grand New York sounding track.
Yeah. And the strings are like,
On the streets of Manhattan, dreams I'd forgotten all came back to me once again. The lights of the city, you captured my heart. We became lovers and friends. Still friends.
So we're now going to play another track that struck a chord. It's a cover version. Hello, how are you? Originally by
the Easy Beats.
The Easy
The
Beats.
Easy
Thank you.
Beats.
Yes.
That's because Mike's from Australia anyway.
Yeah.
So the Easy Beats were an Australian band who were very big in the 60s. So when Mike was a teenager, he was a huge fan of the Easy Beats. And of course I didn't know him then. And when I was a teenager, I was a fan of the Easy Beats because they came over here and they had Friday on My Mind and all these different songs, which were like good times. And one of the songs they had was Hello, How Are You? And I always liked that. So we were talking about the songs for the album, and we started talking about the Easy Beats, and that was how that came. We said, why don't we do one of their songs? And so we decided to try doing Hello, How Are You? And that turned
Mike
out great.
guide vocaled that, didn't he? In a very,
he did.
in a telephonic sort of on one of those old talkback mics.
Yeah.
And
He did.
I loved that version. And then we did your vocals, and we discussed, I think, with you have a real sort of majestic way of delivering your lyrics are majestic anyway, and you brought all that to that song, and it does sound like one of your songs, and anyone who didn't know it was a cover would think, I think, that they would think that was yours. Because you made it your own. This version is almost Bowie-esque.
Yeah. Can you remember when we were doing the vocal, and we did it a bit lower than the original record, and there's a line, the water filled hole in my shoe, and I said like David Bowie. And you said it sounded like David Bowie. Somebody did. So it's on there anyway, especially on that line. Yeah.
Fantastic.
If I just stand here forever, I'll stand. And the rain comes pouring down. Oh, hello, how are you? It's good to see you here. Oh, you're late. I just wait How are you? It's good.
So
to
actually,
see
that
you.
edges me to say,
Yeah.
tell us your David Bowie story.
All right. Well, oh yeah, was a song we recorded. We weren't called Smokie at that point. We were called Kindness.
The
I
kindness.
think Kindness. Yeah, we recorded with Decca, and I think it was about 1972. And we recorded this song called Oh Yeah. We had a manager at the time called Dave Eager, who was a radio DJ in Manchester, and he went to see Bowie and he knew him, and he went backstage and he played him that song. And Bowie must have liked it, because I don't know, a few months later, the
There it
CD
was.
comes out.
Later that year.
And if you listen to the two things, the way you did, you know, it's amazing how
It's incredible.
close they sound.
But also that
Yeah.
grassroots rock and roll boogie feel from you guys, and that's what I find so magic about your music. Seriously.
Today, little boy, wanna leave my baby alone. Said, oh yeah. Said, oh yeah. Said, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love her. I love her. I love her. I love her. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Chris, it's been such an amazing pleasure to work with you, and I'm so excited for this album to come out. It really
Yeah,
does
me too.
feel like a new adventure with this
Yeah.
kind of music, you know?
What my ears say.
Yeah, I think we did a good job on it, John, between the three of us. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, you know.
Chris Norman, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for joining me on the Moon Show.
It's great.
And
Great
we
to
look
talk
forward
to you, John.
Thank